Hi, I'm Dana, and today's video is a little bit of a weird one, but also not at all. I've tried to record this part like 4 times because I can't quite figure out how best to explain it. I want to talk about the things that people have tried to remove from my personality that you can't because it's part of being autistic. And I tried real hard to mask them out and push them down and not be the person that does those things. And it didn't work. They're still there. I'm now just having to rediscover them and figure out how to actually have them work in a way that is healthy and works for me and is part of who I actually am. And the thing that really gets to me and makes me want to really talk about this online is that I don't feel like it's just something that happened to me as a kid. Like, I feel like when I first started thinking about this video topic, I was very like, I was undiagnosed, I was just a kid, people thought that they could teach me this and teach me that and like I'd figure this out and figure that out. But then I looked at it and I was like, it's not just when I was a kid though. Some of the like shitty friendships that I've had, the shitty relationship that I was in, I've quite repeatedly had people that are just trying to like train me to be less autistic because it makes them more comfortable. And that's essentially what this is. It's the bits of my personality and the bits of me as a person people tried to make me get rid of because they didn't like it. And it's also such like a personal thing as well. It's like you didn't like it. It's not a flaw with me as a person. It's you needing to learn to tolerate and accept other people. But it was definitely made to feel like it was my fault. And it's stuff that I'm now having to like re-explore and be like, oh, it's not a horrible, terrible thing. It's just that one arsehole told me it was. But getting into it, and a bunch of the videos, especially the early videos on my channel, were me figuring out what my stims were. I'm someone who's always been a fidgeter. I've always been someone who like constantly has a body part moving and doing something, and it constantly annoyed everybody around me. My family complained constantly, Dana's shaking her leg, Dana's fidgeting with this, Dana's doing that. Like my hair was this length for the majority of my life, and I would quite often just pull a hair out and just play with it and wrap it around my fingers. And my brothers would tell my parents, they'd be like, oh, stop it, Dana. And it was stuff like that all the time that wasn't affecting anybody else. And like, I'll give like somebody bouncing their leg while sitting right next to you, that's annoying, you know, point that out to me, I'll stop doing it. And I'm not going to be like, they tried to train me out of my stims, man. But me sitting in my room singing a little song to myself and having someone walk past and be like, oh, shut up, you know, like, no. And this is the thing, because it is like I said, it doesn't always feel like it's just the people directly around you. Because I've mentioned in multiple videos now, I had the stim of chewing on the side of my cheek. I was all through high school. That was what I did, that was my stim, it just made me less anxious, it just made me feel better. To be fair, it does hurt a little bit, so I do think that was some of it, but it was my main stim. And I was just walking through the town centre in my school uniform as like a 14, 15-year-old, when some full-grown man like leaned in and made the face at me as though he was doing it too and like made a whole thing out of it. Full-grown, like middle-aged man, should have known better. And I've never done it since. That's not a stim for me anymore. You know, and it's the thing of just having so many directions, and like every direction you turn is just some random fucker being like, stop it, you're not good enough, it's weird, you're a freak, and just being like, I'm just trying to live my life and survive. I don't know why you're being mean about this thing that literally does not in any way affect you. And also, if you're a middle-aged man doing that to a girl in a school uniform, you've got bigger issues than I have. You know, but there's just so many stims throughout my life that someone would make a comment about, someone would take the piss out of me for, someone would be mean about. My parents, my family would just straight up tell me, you're not meant to fidget, you're not supposed to do that, this isn't what people do. And I just lost it, I just stopped doing it. And from like when I was diagnosed in 2019 all the way up to now, it's a really big thing for me to be rediscovering my stims and finding out what actually makes me feel better and being able to regulate myself in that way. Because that's the thing, is stimming for me is a big regulation tool. That's a big thing that helps me to like get through the day and have a nice day and not have a meltdown at the end of it and things like that. And that was completely removed from me as like a young child, and repeatedly going through my teen years having people like point things out and just be mean about them. That was a big like self-regulatory tool that I just had taken from me. Now, next trait, obviously, and as always, this varies for everyone, we're all different people in general, never mind different autistic people, but I cannot have meltdowns or generally show negative emotions in public. I just can't do it. I will be on the brink of a meltdown. I will be like going into full shutdown mode. My brain isn't working. I can't think of anything. I can't communicate with the people around me. I can't speak. I will still get myself out of that situation before I have the meltdown. It doesn't matter if it's getting to a random alleyway where I can hide behind a bin to have my meltdown. It doesn't matter if it's getting to a bathroom and having a cubicle. It doesn't matter if I have to like fully like walk home. I've had times that I've walked home from the Liverpool city centre when I lived like an hour and a half away, and I was like, I can't physically speak to like buy a train ticket or talk to the bus driver or tell a taxi driver where I live. I'm just gonna walk home. And for the entire hour and a half, I'm just walking. And to anyone around me, I would look completely fine. And the moment I get home, the moment I'm in private, the moment I'm on my own, full on meltdown. And it's one of those things that like, I don't entirely know how I control it. I can't do it in public. And it definitely stems from the fact that my parents never let me, anytime I did have any sort of meltdown as a child, it was a tantrum. It was Dana being ridiculous and overdramatic again. Even when I was very overwhelmed, when I was genuinely upset, when I had reason to be upset, it was always, you need to go and deal with that on your own. Your emotions are too much for us. You feel all the things all the time and it's just too fucking much. So we're not going to take any emotions seriously because you have them all too much all the time. None of them must be serious then. Go fucking deal with it on your own. So I did. So now I have no fucking understanding or concept of how to not deal with those things on my own. And like with my ex-partner, we would sometimes have like quite deep discussions, and she would tell me how much she wanted to help me and how much she wanted to support me and everything. And I would end up just sort of like forcing a few tears out and be like, oh yeah, I feel so much better now. Because I just, it was a situation where she was fully allowing me, like giving me the space and saying, you can be vulnerable here and you can show me whatever emotion you're feeling and you can be comforted by someone for the first time in your life and it'll all be all right. And I just couldn't fucking do it. I cannot do it. And similarly, I had situations in workplaces and like social settings where I've gotten really, really overwhelmed. I know that the meltdown's coming and I just fuck off. I don't have it in me to tell people what's going on or why I'm going or that I need a minute alone. And realistically, a lot of those situations, if I could just have 10 minutes in the bathroom on my own, I could probably come back and manage it. But I can't get myself to speak, to tell someone I need that 10 minutes. So I just fuck off home and have a massive meltdown and either don't go back or send a lengthy message, be like, I'm so sorry. And that's the way that goes. And it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to. I know that there's like so many things I could do in so many ways that people would be empathetic and understanding and try to help me, I just can't do it. My next point is the one where like I feel like it's really obvious that people are just trying to maybe manipulate me a little bit, maybe try and like turn me into what they wanted, because I frankly have been around a lot of like abusive and manipulative and just shitty people. But questions. So as a kid, I wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everything about everything. I was incredibly curious, and if there was something that I didn't understand, if there was something that I didn't know, if there was something I wanted any sort of answer to, I would ask my question to whoever was there. I didn't care who the fuck it was. I didn't really know that I wasn't supposed to do that. And I'll give that it definitely landed my parents in some really tricky situations. But rather than be like, ask us questions about people when we get home and not directly in front of them in a loud voice or things like that, they would be like, don't ask questions. If someone wants you to know something, they'll tell you. If someone needs you to know something, if there's information you're supposed to know, someone will tell you. Don't ask a single question. Don't ask anything, okay? And I was like, oh, I'm not meant to ask questions. Damn, okay. So I grew up with that. I stopped asking people questions. You do the how are you, how's your day been, what have you been up to. You don't ask them anything fucking personal. You don't go any further. You don't ask about their lives. You don't ask about anything personal, like, or anything that could even be considered personal. Because a lot of things that I asked, I didn't think were that big a deal. And then people would be like, oh my God, you don't ask that. And I'd be like, why not? I just want to know. Like, damn. But like, I stopped asking questions. By the age of like fucking 11, I was just like, if someone wants me to know something, they'll tell me. There's no reason for me to ever ask anyone anything. It's just rude. Like, I genuinely spent the longest time thinking it was incredibly rude for me to ask anyone anything beyond like, how are you, And then when I got my first girlfriend, one of the like, I don't know if I necessarily call it an argument, but one of the things that like consistently came up between us that was that like, she'd be like, you don't ever ask me anything. And I'd be like, I do, I ask how your day was. And she'd be like, that is all you ever ask me. And I'd be like, what else am I meant to ask? If there's stuff that you want me to know, you can tell me, And that's one of those situations where like, I probably could have handled it better. She probably could have handled it better. I still don't know what the fuck to like think of that situation. Because like, yeah, if she wants me to know something, she probably should tell me. As someone's girlfriend, I probably should be asking them questions and asking them, whatever the fuck I'm meant to be asking them, but I don't know what I'm meant to be asking, you know? It's not some like weaponized incompetence thing. It's not some like I can't be bothered, I don't care to know thing. It's like I literally, you know, like I've asked how your day is and I'm expecting you to tell me things. I don't know what I'm supposed to ask. And that's one of the things that I still like really struggle with in conversations. I don't know what I'm meant to ask. I don't know when I'm meant to ask it. There's been a lot of times that like the conversation's died down. I've been like, I need to like ask a question to start this conversation, to like show that I'm interested in this person, to show that I care. Like that's clearly the social thing to do in this situation. And then I ask a question and I'm really fucking bad at asking questions because so many things about the person feel really personal to me. And one of the really big things where I struggle actually is when I first met someone and like I not to be like I run in queer circles, but I meet a lot of queer people. Like as a queer person, I predominantly want to hang around with other queer people, and I find it humiliating to ask someone's pronouns. Yeah, like it literally shouldn't even be something to like worry about asking. It's something I actively need to know to make sure I can respect you and to make sure like you're happy and not being misgendered and shit. And yet it feels like I'm asking something so personal and I'm not. It's literally just so I can like not be an asshole. But any sort of question that I ask, I feel like I am like prying into somebody's life and making them tell me stuff they don't want to tell me, because if they wanted me to know, they'd tell me. But that's just not the way that 99.999% of people work, you know? I was just sort of tricked into thinking it should be. And finally, one of my most obvious autistic traits, like my entire life from childhood onwards, has been that I have extreme special interests. I get very into the things that I'm into. They have always been movies and TV shows, and I love them more than anything. And I couldn't really tell you why, but that's always annoyed other people. Like, other people have always found it cringy in a way where, like, they have to tell me that it's cringy and that I should stop doing it. Like, right from when I was really young, one of the first things I was ever really invested in was Charmed. And I was maybe 7 or 8 when I printed out the entire book of Shadows and put it all into a little folder. And when my family found out, my dad was fuming that I'd used all the ink, and that's kind of fair enough. Everyone else was just like, well, why have you done it? And I was like, because I have the Book of Shadows now from the show. And they're like, but it's not like the real one, is it? Like, it's not the one from the show. Like, it's not very good. And unfortunately, they're the type of people that I was around for like pretty much up until like 2 years ago, is people that would be like, and why do you like that thing? And why do you like it like you do? And you're okay with being that person? Wow. Like, I don't get it. Whenever I've spoken to other autistic people and they're like, I love this thing, I'm like, yeah, you fucking love that thing. Tell me about why you love that thing. You know, like, I've learned something. I've enjoyed seeing their passion and just seeing someone have a nice fucking time, and it's interesting and it's a good way to get to know other people. I am so baffled by the way that other people have reacted to me and my special interests. But it's one of those things where, like, after years and years of always having it being put down, always being made to feel silly for it and a bit stupid and a bit, like, just childish and ridiculous and pathetic, I stopped talking about my special interests. I stopped telling people I had special interests. I stopped engaging in them. You know, I switched to things that, like, other people around me liked that I didn't like nearly as much, and massively lost, like, huge parts of myself. Like, the way that I dressed got so boring, because so much of the way that I dress is inspired by the characters that I like and the shows that I like and the world that they live in. And all of a sudden I didn't have any of that anymore because I wasn't engaging in it, and I was just someone who wears like blue jeans and plain jumpers, and I just, like, an entire part of myself was gone. And I won't lie to you, like, a lot of the people that were in my life at the time seemed to find me a lot more palatable and seemed to like me a lot more. It does feel in some ways like if I'd carried on just doing that, maybe I'd still have a family, maybe I'd still have a boyfriend. And, like, I don't want them, but also, like, they were nicer to me when I was like that, you know? And that's not fair, that's not okay. They should be nice to me based on the person I am. But, like, ugh, they were a lot nicer to me when I just concealed myself. That's why it worked. That was how they managed to, like, train me out of all these various things that are completely natural and normal to me and that don't hurt anyone, especially. You know, like, there's definitely autistic traits and things about me that I need to work on and learn to do or to not do in order to, like, benefit myself and the people that are around me and to, like, be a better person, you know? Like, striving to be a better person is always a good thing. But there's also just so many people that try to train base parts of me that are just me existing as a person and my personality, and they're not hurting anybody, and yet they've been, like, trained away and taken away from me, and it's weird and unpleasant. I don't like it and I don't think it should be allowed. I don't intend to let it happen again, you know, is a big one. You know, it really takes noticing this stuff and seeing it all to, number one, be able to like get it back for me. Like, and even then, like, I don't feel like I can get it back. I'm never going to be the person that I was again because I've had all these extra experiences and things that I learned and things that I've been through. But I can connect with like my original base self and be the person that I am, if that makes sense, you know? Ugh. I start just losing my mind a bit once a video gets a bit lengthy and I've been talking for a while. But that is the video. As always, I'd really appreciate any comments that you leave, anything you have to say about this topic, anything that you've been through that's similar to this, any traits that you've trained yourself out of, any traits that other people trained you out of, just generally anything that's along this topic or anything that isn't. I don't really mind. I just really enjoy reading comments and it's really nice. And yeah, if you wanted to give me a thumbs up, I'm pretty sure that helps me in the algorithm. If you want to subscribe, I really like just like having people here and having this little community, and I think it's really a safe space and it's really nice. Yeah, I've said in a few videos now, but like you guys have started just, I mean, it's been a while, like you guys reply to each other in the comments and say nice things to each other and stuff, and I really appreciate it because so many times I read comments and I'm just like, I feel so much for you, but I do not know what to say, and especially in text where you're not seeing like my facial expression or my tone of voice or anything. I don't want to just be like, that sounds rough, sorry, you know? Like, I so often very much don't know what to say, and then you guys swan in and do, and it's such a relief, and it's so nice to see people like supporting each other in my comments, and it's just really lovely and I really love it. So if you want to subscribe and be a part of that, please do. I post videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays, but I am also posting extra bits throughout December. You can also follow me on TikTok or Instagram if you want extra content, and if you want to pay me for whatever reason, you can do so by joining my Patreon for like an amount each month, or by doing a one-time donation on Ko-fi. But you don't have to. It's Christmas. Buy yourself something nice, buy someone you love something nice, do whatever you want. It's Christmas, treat yourself. It's fun. There's never any pressure, you don't have to do anything. I just want everyone to have a nice time. So whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.